welcome to the session. So today's session we will see how to create a Python program to display the center point coordinates of a rectangle, and we will also be updating the dimensions of the rectangle, that is the width and the height. So let's first understand the logic of the program. So let's say this is a rectangle and these are the 4 coordinates of the rectangle. So the first goal of the program is we want to find the center of the rectangle. See, we can find the midpoints of a rectangle either by using the coordinates or by using the height and width. So in this program we are finding the midpoint using the height and width. So how? Suppose I know this is a height is 100, so half of it is 50. So that would be till here. Suppose the width is 200, so half of width is 200 by 2, that is 100. So we are using the height and width to find the midpoint or the center point of the rectangle. So this is a formula. So 0 plus width divided by 2 and 0 plus height divided by 2. So basically we are dividing width by 2 and height by 2. So coming to the, or we have also have another logic. Suppose we know the coordinates, all the 4 coordinates of the rectangle, then we can use the coordinates. So if I can say x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So we can find the midpoints of a rectangle using, if we know all the 4 coordinates of the rectangle, or we can find the midpoint if we are only knowing the width and height. This is the formula. So in this program we'll be using the width and height inputs to find the midpoint of the rectangle. And one more goal of the program is we want to change the size of the rectangle. Suppose I want to change the size of the rectangle, but I do not want to change its position. That means the center point remains the same. So I don't want to change its position, but I want to modify the height and width. So for that what we are doing is we are updating the current width. So here the width is suppose 200. So for that I will add a delta value. The delta value can be negative or positive. So how do you do it? Original width plus delta width, which can be negative or positive. Suppose I say delta width is 100. So initially suppose the width is 200. So 200 plus 100. So I'll be extending the width to 300. Next one is height. I want to change the height. Original height is, let's say, 100. I want to update it by 50. So 100 plus 50 is 150. So it will increase. You can also use negative value. That's left to you. So this is a formula that we are using for updating the size of a rectangle. Original width plus delta width, that would be the new width. Original height plus delta height, that would give us the new height. So basically this logic we are using to write our program. So basically before we start the program, let's design the overall structure of the program. Let's have 2 classes. We will create 2 classes. One class is called as a rectangle. This class is used to represent the rectangle, and the other class is used to represent the point, because I need points x and y. So that for that we are using the class point, and we are going to define 3 functions. One function print underscore point. This is basically for displaying the points, okay, where we are using a string formatting %g. We are having one more function find underscore center. This will return a point at the center of the rectangle. That would be the first goal. So one function to find the center of the rectangle using the height and the width. And the other function grow underscore rectangle, that is used to modify the rectangle by adding to its width and the height. So for this grow rectangle we will be giving 3 arguments. The first one would be the rectangle, which would basically would be the class. Okay, and the other 2 things will be the delta width and the delta height that I want to modify. From rectangle I will be able to get the original width and the height, and then we are giving d width and d height option to the user to change the dimensions as he needs. And for find underscore center we are using only one argument, that is rectangle, which would give us through which we will be able to instantiate the points. So let's get into the logic of the program. Let's get into the Jupyter notebook first. So as I told you, we will be defining 2 classes first. So first define the class point, and one more is a class rectangle. If you observe here, there is no body in this class, so we are creating an empty class here. Okay, we are creating an empty class. I did not create any variables here. These are just arguments. I did not create any variables. I did not create any methods. You can have an empty class. Later on inside the program, inside the function, I can manually create my instance variables. That is also another way of doing. I have done a similar program like this, where we had created an empty class and we had instantiated the variables later. So that link I would be giving in the description box. So you can see how we can create an empty class, simple empty class, and instantiate the variables later. So for that example I'll be giving that would be shared in the description box. So now coming to three functions, as I already told you, I am first creating a print underscore point function. The logic, the functionality of this function is for string formatting. Okay, so I will show you the difference. I want to display the points. So for that reason, for displaying the points, I'll be using p.x and p.y. These are the 2 points I'll be having. When we go into the execution of the program, you will understand this. So these 2 points I want to display. And I will show you the difference. What happens if I use %f, what happens if you use %g, we will see in the output. Now coming to the next function, next function is, as I told you, find underscore center, where this function is going to return a point at the center of the rectangle. And how are you finding the center of the rectangle? Using the width and the height. So as I told you, I want to add the width, right? Basically we want to divide the width by 2. So what I am doing here is 0 plus width divided by 2, 0 plus height divided by 2. I'll be doing. So before you start the program, first remember this function will be using rect as a argument. So basically find underscore center is taking a rectangle as an argument, and it returns a point that contains the coordinates of the rectangle. Okay, so naturally delight, I need 2 points for the center, so it will be returning a point. A point will have 2 points, x and y. So what am I doing here? Point is actually our name of the class. So basically I am instantiating my class, right? So I am creating an object, and that object is nothing but p. Okay, what is point? Point is nothing but our class. So I am instantiating my point here, and p is actually the object, and using that object I will be able to now access x and y coordinates. Okay, now under rect is the argument which I am giving, because later when I call the find underscore center function, if you see here, find underscore center, I will be giving rectangle as my argument. Okay, the rectangle as an argument, where rectangle will be having all the things, width, height, as well as it will be having x and y coordinates, as well as it will be instantiated with an object. Okay, so that's the reason we are to find the center. I am passing rectangle as an argument. Okay, so coming back to this find underscore center, right? To find underscore center, remember we are taking rectangle as an argument, because to find the center I need xy coordinates, I need width and height. Okay, either I can use but in this program we are using width and height to calculate, but I need the coordinates, right? Why do I need the coordinates? The logic is simple. If you go back to this, see, it is 0 plus this entire width divided by 2. That's the logic. Okay, to find the center point using width and height, see, the logic is like this. It is 0 plus this width divided by 2. That's the logic. 0 plus height divided by 2. That's why when you're finding the center, you have to pass the rectangle as an argument, and rectangle is going to have all the points x, y, width, height. Okay, so the logic is like this: rectangle dot corner dot x. Now what does it mean? If you go back to this, see, this is my rectangle, as I said, right? I'm creating a class for rectangle, I'm creating a class for point. Under the point I'll be having just two variables, x and y. Under the rectangle I'll be having width, I will be having height, and I will be having corner, and then corner is in turn going to point to x and y. Okay, so these are the points of my class, or the variables or the attributes of my class. Attributes of class rectangle is width, height, corner, and attributes of point is x, y. Corner is in turn going to point to x and y. So corner dot x, corner dot y. So that is why I am saying here rect dot corner dot x. Basically in this case it's 0 plus rectangle dot width divided by 2.0. Similarly for y. And what is this class, this function returning? This function is going to return an object. Remember that p is an object of the class point, so it's returning the object, because this object p would be having both x and y. Okay, so when it returns p, it is actually returning p dot x and p dot y. Now coming to the next function, grow rectangle. As I already told you, this is going to modify a rectangle. We are going to add width and height to it, right? We are not how do you do it? As I already told you, original width plus the delta width, that would be updated to the new one. So basically we'll be using this, we call this as augmented assignment operators. Instead of writing it, you can also write like that. You can say rectangle dot width is equal to rectangle dot width plus d width. Instead of that, just put plus equal to. It's a augmented assignment operator. Similarly, rectangle dot height is equal to rectangle height plus delta d height. Nothing but this, done with just one simple statement. So basically we are updating the width and updating the height as we have discussed earlier. So what is this function? Taking 3 arguments. It has to take the rectangle. That means this entire, all these parameters are given as the argument, and also delta width and delta height, for which we have an option in our program main where I can change it. Okay, now coming to the main program. In the main program, first thing is you have to instantiate your point class. So blank is actually our object which belongs to the class point. Okay, so basically the return value of this is a reference to the point object. So blank is actually an object. So as I said, point will have only 2 variables, right? It will have x and y. So what is blank dot x, blank dot y? You assign it. You give any value that you want. Okay, so I have given the values as 3, 4. 3 and 4. So let's display it. How do you display it? So let's say blank, blank points. Okay, and we have given, basically this is a delimiter. So that means what happens after the string, this displayed on the screen, one single space would be given. It's a delimiter. So after the string is displayed, you can see one single space. I have already executed. See, you can. Well, after blank is displayed, one space would be there. Now I'm going to display this blank. So basically what would be printed now? 3 and 4 should be printed. But what format I want to display this? See, I am going to display 3 and 4. But I cannot just display 2 variables just by using a print statement. For that I am calling the function print underscore point, and that is what we have done here. Print underscore point is a function where I want to display 2 values here, x and y. So how do I want? Print underscore point is going to display the points x and y coordinates. So how am I doing? If I say %f, right, then %p dot x p dot y, what happens is f, what it will do is, it's a floating point number. So it will give decimal point and all the zeros after that. So it will have something like this. Okay, but if I give %g, okay, if I give %g, then what happens? Let's execute and see. See, if I give %g, what happens? 3 and 4 was the actual input, and it is displayed as it is. There is no decimal point after it. So what is %e? It is a string formatting formatting method, okay, where it will display the floating point numbers as it is. Okay, so %g is used for string formatting. Okay, now coming back to that, I'll just show that. Okay, see, %d is used for string formatting. The trailing zeros will be removed and the decimal point will be removed, and then if we are using %d, if I use %d because it's an integer, then trailing zeros and decimal point will be removed. But if you are using %g, it will be retained. See, if I use %d for the first one, see what happened. Right? Okay, I'll give some points to that. Let's say 3 point something. This would be a blank, and here if I make it %d, if I make it %d, where is it? Execute. See, when I make it %d, it will, though the floating point number would be converted into integer point number. If I make it %f, and the second one I'll keep as %g, let's see the difference. See, this I made it as %f, this is %g. See the difference. When you give %f, double zeros, it will give up till 6 numbers. It will try to maintain after the decimal point, and that's why 2 zeros have been appended. But %d will not do anything like that. It will not do any rounding off. It will just display it as it is. So you can use whatever you want. Okay, so it's just a string formatting method. Now coming to the main function, as I said, in the main function, first one is I instantiated the point class. Blank is actually the object which belongs to the point class, and these are the two points of the when I said point class, it will have two variables x and y, and these are the two values I'm giving to the point class, and it is displayed. Right, now coming to the next one, now I'm instantiating the other class, that is a rectangle class. So box is actually the object of the class rectangle, and as I already told you in the presentation, rectangle will have how many values? Width, height, corner dot x and corner dot y. So that is what I've done here. Okay, so box dot width I'm giving as 100, box dot height I'm giving as 200, and box dot corner, you have to do that, right? Box dot corner, what is box dot corner? It is going to be instantiated to the point object. So what is this actually? Object is pointing to another object. Okay, so what is happening here? Box is an object, corner is also an object. So box object is pointing to another object. So that's why you have two dots. So got it? So box dot corner, box is an object, corner is also an object. So box dot corner dot x. Box is an object of type class. Corner is an object of type point. So box dot corner dot x I am giving as 0. You can give whatever value you want. Box dot corner dot y is equal to 0. So what is this 0 actually? I told you this point. Right? I am assuming that my rectangle here is starting from the 0, 0. You can give any value and check. That's not a problem. So once you have now you have instantiated the class rectangle, you have created all the points for it. Now let's find the center of the box. To find the center of the box, we have already written the function, we have discussed it. Find underscore center function, you call it. Pass the box as the argument. Right? So what is box? It's nothing but our object of the type class. And what is returned? What is returned from this class? We have seen that already. It will return a where is this? It is returning a center point, right? Center. So let's see what is there inside the center. So center point of the rectangle, I can see here. Okay, so what is the center point of the rectangle? It is displaying 50 and 100. So basically it is displaying the center point. It calculated the midpoint. Right? So I already told you. How did I calculate the midpoint? 100 by 2, 0 plus 100 by 2, that is 50. And this one 0 plus 200 by 2, that is 100. So that is what is this? Right? The center point. That was a functionality of this function, right? To return the midpoint. So the midpoint is returned. So you're getting it here. The midpoint is right? So these are the 50 and 100. Right? Because I will have two midpoints. X for x and one for height, one from the width. Now if you want to see the width and the height of the rectangle, right? If I want to see the width and the height of the rectangle before modification, that is the next one, right? This was the first functionality where I displayed the center point. What was the second goal? I want to see the width and the height of the rectangle. I want to modify. So before modification, let me just display box dot width and box dot height. After modification, what I will do? Call the function. Which is a function we have written for modifying the width and height, grow underscore rectangle. Call it, and for this grow underscore rectangle, the first argument is a rectangle, which for us the rectangle here is a box, which is an instance of the class rectangle. The next one would be the height and the other one is the width. So finally what would be displayed? After modification this is. So width and height of the rectangle after modification. Now the last part, you can see I've written something like this. So basically what is this is the main function will only be executed if the script is run directly. So if the script is imported as a module in another script, then it will not be executed. So for that reason you will have to write this. If name underscore underscore name underscore is equal to underscore main, this is very important, otherwise it will not execute. See, so this is the output. So these are the, since I have written percentage G, F here, percentage G, I am seeing the points like this. This is a center point. This is a width and the height before modification. This is a width and the height after modification. So go through the program, go through the logic of the program, try to execute. I will share this code in the GitHub link, which would be shared in the description box. Any doubts, please let me know. Thank you so much.